Im Shloisha Sefer Torah, Pam Nosefer, additional to Simchas Torah, we bring it out again these times. So the Rebbe said it's something that causes a tremendous notice in the shul for the reasons we pointed out before. That people see all of a sudden one Sefer Torah and another one, and particularly the kids get all excited about the running and kissing the Sefer Torah v'chulu. So the Rebbe said, there must be some very remarkable inyan in Avodas Hashem that such an unusual event, when it does occur, comes to teach us. The Simchas Torah occurs every year, and every year we take out 3. So the lesson of Simchas Torah is regular, every year. We'll soon see what that is. But that's every year. But these only occur on isolated years. We have to say that they've got some very remarkable thing that they come to teach us. Ma'ila miyuchedes specifius yeshno v'Shabbat zu. The Rebbe said there's a very remarkable and special ma'ila advantage in this Shabbat, which is very specific and particular to that particular Shabbat. So he said, what is it? He said, Bo kol shloisha hakriyos basforim shurim zelazeh. The Rebbe is going to point out that in all the 3 sforim, we read in different ways about the same thing. They're all connected in that they all deal with the same thing. On Simchas Torah, for example, we read the parashas Shiur, Zoysa Brocha, and then we read Shabbos Braces, Parashas Braces. So Parashas Braces has got nothing to do with Zoysa Brocha. It's a new, like all things in Torah have to do one with the other, but it's not a Inyan Begolo, a connection. And then the Maftir is also not something that's connected Davki to Zoysa Brocha or to Braces. So each Kriya is like a separate Inyan. But here on this Shabbos, we're going to see that all the 3 Kriyos, thank you, my boy, square, all the 3 Kriyos, they all come together talking about basically the same meaning. How does that work out? So he said, but parashas hachoides, the Rebbe starts with the last one and then he works back to the first one. So he said, but parashas hachoides, akriya hashlishis, Nema tzivui lekadesh es Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And that's the inyan of, like we said, the Maila of Nisan. There's a very great and special Maila in Nisan. Akriya hashniyo medaberes oides Rosh Chodesh. Yeah, so Rosh Chodesh is what we were saying when I get to Nisan. Chodesh Hazeh lochem Rosh Chodesh. It's also talking about Rosh Chodesh, and it's talking about Nisan. But it's talking be'ikah about the tzivui of Kiddush HaChodesh. And Kiddush HaChodesh is the yesod of the whole inyan of Rosh Chodesh. And then he goes on to say, however, it's talking especially about Nisan. And then he goes on to say, Pasha Vaikra, Akriya HaRishena, Nemra B'Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Pasha Vaikra, the Eibishter said it on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Amen. Now this is something not many people clap. And the Rebbe's got a big long footnote in the Sikha where the Rebbe proves this from different angles. You see, up till now we've been in the Shivas Yemei HaMiluim. We're still in them. Tomorrow's the last day. There's a Shiva Shemay. What's happening is that we're building from day to day in the putting up the Mishkan, the taking it down, the preparation, therefore, towards the initiation of the Mishkan, which took place on Rosh Chodesh, and then the Mishkan went into permanent function. Up till then, Moshe was taking it down, putting it up. Then it only moved when the Yidden moved. It didn't get taken up and put down as part of its initiation. It was already initiated and it came into. So that the end of the Shivas Yemei Maluim is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So the Rebbe said, what is the union from Pasha Vaikra, all the korbanos and how they're going to be, and how do you be makrav korban, and what is it? Well, that's only shaykh that ordinary people, as it were, should bring korbanos after the Mishkan's already been put up. So it follows that tzivui of all those commandments about the korbanos, which are given in this week's parasha, is immediately they finish putting up the Mishkan. Which was when? On Rosh Chodesh. It's Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So Kunda is that there are all these three parashas, the Vaikra, Parashat Tzav, and Parashat Shmini, all of them deal with the Rosh Chodesh Nisan. They're all dealing. So we see what a tremendous central day in Yiddishkeit, Rosh Chodesh Nisan Revi'ah. The three particular Shabbos and their Kriyas were all said and deal with the greatness of Rosh Chodesh Nisan. It's an amazing thing when you think about it. All three parashas are all concerned and said on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Well, that's what the Rebbe says in the footnote. Rosh Chodesh Nisan takes this massive part in the whole of our mentality and the whole building of our Torah and our lives, and the Parsha and Lebmet the Tzayit, according to the Alter Rebbe, all of these weeks are all concerned. Vaikra was Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Therefore, the three Parsha, or the three Kriyas, are also the same. Yeah, first of all, Parsha Vaikra, that was on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. The second Sefer Torah is about Rosh Chodesh, and the third one is about, once again, the Milo of the whole of Nisan, but beginning particularly with Rosh Chodesh Nisan, because it says, HaChodesh Azeh Lochem, Reish Kadoshim. Of America is that all the three Kriyas all deal basically with the same basic union. They're all Kshurim, Zeh v'zeh.
What's Kesher Vaikra? Vaikra?
We just said Vaikra was said on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. All the dinim of the Korbanos, Vaikra were given on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And in the Koil that I gave a whole shiur clearly about that, or concerned a bit with that, but I can't go into that now because none of you were there, so it would mean a huge big arichas. However, so the Rebbe said, Kuntais of all these Kriyas, all connected one with the other. So Mikol Dover Bo'ilom, Tzorik Lilmaid Keitzad Lisnahig B'Avedus Hashem. The Rebbe said, from everything that happens, we have to learn, how to serve Hashem. We have to learn Hoirah. Now it's very amazing. Normally, the Rebbe quotes that in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. It's a very famous Torah from the Baal Shem Tov. We said you have to learn from everything that happens, an instruction in Avedus Hashem. Well, here the Rebbe brings a pasuk in Pasha Veschonan in Sefer Dvarim. The Rebbe brings a pasuk, and he said from that pasuk we learn that particularly in Inyonei Torah and mitzvahs, everything that happens in a special way, you got to learn from it. And what's the pasuk? The pasuk says over there in Pasha Veschonan, it's written, "Vayitzavenu Hashem Elokeinu es kol hachukim ha'ele liro es Hashem Elokeinu." That Hashem commanded us all the mitzvahs, we should fear Hashem. So the Rebbe says from that, you have to learn from all the mitzvahs, including how they happen and the way they come and the way they relate one to the other. From then you're going to learn how to fear Hashem. What is fear Hashem? To be devoted to keeping His will and His commandment. Yeah, therefore that's a yisod to Sister Teresa Baal Shem Tov. Very interesting. So I can say I can't get you guys particularly excited, but I mean that's quite an amazing thing. The Rebbe brings a pasuk on that. Usually he just relies on the Baal Shem Tov, and here he brings. It's quite, when you think about it, it's just so obvious. But anyway, he said, "Mikol Dover Ba'ilam Tzorik Lilmaid Keitzad Lisnag B'Avedus Hashem Ubefrat Mein Kol Kach Merkozi V'Choshu K'moy Hoitzoes Shleisha Sifrei Torah." Wow! You see how the Rebbe gets excited about every prat. The Rebbe said it's something so amazing and central and exciting as taking out 3 Sifrei Torah. taking out the 3 Sifrei Torah, that's the center of the whole world. The whole world, drays around the fact we're taking out Shloisha Sifrei Torah. So as soon as you move into Shabbos, you're supposed to be saying to yourself, this is the Shabbos that we're taking out 3 Sifrei Torah. So somebody else would say, no, so took out 3 Sifrei Torah, take that. Nice, interesting little minhag, take it 3. That was just that 3 Sifrei Torah. This is the Yisod and the malchus of the whole Inyan. I had to get you guys a bit of, what do they call it? What do they call them? I've forgotten the word. To get somebody excited. Stimulus.
Stir.
To get a...
Stir.
Get a
zet.
Anyway, says the Rebbe, Kedei lahovin heiter, es mashmoz hoitzoes, shloisha sifrei Torah b'Shabbos zu, Shabbos Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Kilos, you didn't know that. The Rebbe is reminding us, Shabbos Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Yes, Torah, lahovin heiter, es mashmoz hoitzoes, shloisha sifrei Torah b'Sivlas Torah. First of all, we have to go back to the more regular one, the one that occurs every year. We take out 3 Sifrei Torah and Simchas Torah, as we explained at the beginning of the Sikha, and we have to understand that. No, we've got to understand the Shloisha. We can't possibly sleep or do anything until we understand what is the Shloisha Sifrei Torah. So he said, "V'zois oleinu ladar." We have to know one thing: shegam hadvorim shekoydim pam b'shana, even things that happen only once a year. Hoitzua shloisha sifrei Torah b'simchas Torah, whether it occurs every year, and in our case, it could occur only once every several years. So he says, "Malamdim keitzad lisnaig b'meshek kol hashon." Everything that happens, even though it may happen only once, but it's a significant thing, and it's al pi rotzon Hashem, that's according to halacha and to minhag Yisrael, then it comes to teach us something for the whole year. And Mamela says the Rebbe, al kol hashon kula, v'afilu dvarim shekoydim pam b'kama shonim. Even those things that might happen once every couple of years, every several years, k'chaitzor shloisha sifrei Torah b'Shabbos Rosh Chodesh Nisan, gam heim melamdim al kol hashonim kulam. So the fact you take out 3 sifrei Torah on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Shabbos, well, that teaches us something for all the years to come, and all the year where we are, plus all the years to come. There's a limud miyuchad b'zeh. So we have to understand, what is that? What is the secret here? What is the nakuda so great hidden in these details? So he says, Mahu ba'etzem harayon atamun b'kach shemoitziim shloisha sifrei Torah. So the Rebbe said, we need to first of all understand, what am I hinting at so great? What is the idea? What is the concept that's hidden in this whole idea of taking out shloisha sifrei Torah? So the Rebbe says, in order to understand that, you've got to understand, what does it mean to take out a Sefer Torah? So everybody's just so used to it. They open up the Ark and they say, take out a Sefer Torah. So the Rebbe said, what does it really mean? What is the whole message in Avodas Hashem when you open up the Ark and you take out a Sefer Torah? What does that teach? There must be some very central teaching in Yiddishkeit of taking out a Sefer Torah. So he said, what is it all about? Chova nizboinen b'hitzua Sefer Torah. Come and let us be nizboinen. The Rebbe is inviting us. Chova means come. Come, that's what he says in the Sikha. But let's get together and be nizboinen. What is this whole in of taking out a Sefer Torah? So he said, Kasher moitzim Sefer Torah, omrim kol kahal, everybody together, says a pasuk, vayhi ben tzoya ha'orin, vayem ha'moishe, Kuma Hashem, get up, Hashem will rise up, vayofutzu oyevelcho, and let all of your enemies be, driven away and spread out, vayonusu misanecha miponecha, and let all of your haters literally flee from in front of you. That's a pretty hefty sort of pasuk, pretty unusual pasuk. So the Rebbe said, pasuk zeh nechshav la'itim gam keseifa b'fnei atzmai. Now what does that mean? I mean, those you guys are all balamoyim. It
means
one pasuk is like a whole sefer.
It means we don't know anything, ultimately, basically.
So, there's a Gemara, an amazing Gemara. And the Gemara says, in Masechta Shabbos, that there are really 7 Chumshei Torah, not 5. There's really 7. 7 Chumshei Torah. How do we get 7? So the Gemara says, because this pasuk that Moshe Rabbeinu said when the Aaron used to travel, when did Moshe Rabbeinu say this pasuk the first time around? Yehuda, are you with us? He's being misbeaten over there. You know.
He's married.
When Moshe Rabbeinu gave the okay for the Aaron to travel, that's when he used to say this pasuk. So the Gemara says over there that is like a whole Sefer Torah b'fnei atzma. Yeah, and therefore it's interesting, if you look in the Sefer Torah, it's got like 2 simanim. There's a siman at the beginning, and there's a siman at the end. Does anybody know what they are? Like 2 nun hafuchim. Yeah, the Sefer has to write a little nun hafuch at the beginning, and at the end he writes a little nun hafuch, and in the middle is this pasuk. So the Gemara says, what's these nun hafuchim? What are they doing? They're like 2 little fences, and they make it all into a sefer all on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Make it into a sefer all on its own. So if you count now, you can get to 7 Sifrei Torah. In other words, the first 3, and then the 4th one is up to here, right? And then the 5th one is it. The 6th one is after that till the end of Bamidbar, and the 7th one is Dvar. So altogether you get 7 Sifrei Torah. You follow? 7 Sifrei Torah. So the Rebbe said we see just how important this pasuk is, that it's considered like a whole sefer on its own. Rashi brings over, as a matter of fact, over there in Pasha, in Sefer Dvar, Bamidbar, Rashi brings over there that it's next to K'moy Sefer B'fnei Atzmo. So the Rebbe says, Mashmo is a pasuk. Let's examine what's so explosive in this pasuk. Shebechol zman v'kol Yehudi yesh es Moshe Rabbeinu haproti shaloi. Everybody's got in himself his own Moshe Rabbeinu. Where's that written?
Tanya.
No, Zohar?
Yeah. Tanya.
Gemara.
It's not so.
Can't do any better than that.
Tanya.
Tetzaveh. The Mimer. The Rebbe's Mimer.
It's written on a minor. Can't do any better than that. It's written in Tanya.
It's written in
It's written in
Tanya.
Tanya. Perik Mem Beis.
Awesome.
Perik Mem Beis, right near the beginning. The Alter Rebbe says that everybody has got a nitzut of Moshe Rabbeinu Shebenashe. Everybody's got his own Moshe Rabbeinu. Avamel said the Rebbe Kuntais that not only Moshe Rabbeinu says this book, this pasuk, which is like a whole sefer. Not only Moshe Rabbeinu says it, but every Moshe Rabbeinu Shebekol Yehudi also says it. So what happens when they open the ark is that all the Moshe Rabbeinus inside all the Yidden are all shrein Vayhi bin Tzoyer Ha'oren Kuma Hashem V'yafut Ha'evecha. Every Moshe Rabbeinu, Dahainu, every Yid is announcing this to the world. He's not just saying it, but he's announcing it. Right. Amel said to the Rebbe, what's all that about? So he said, Moshe Rabbeinu Haproti Shaloi Sha'oime Uma'oira V'oise. The Rebbe uses the 4 words. Here's only three of them. The Rebbe says, upoyel. Not only he says it and he's ma'oira, but he brings about poyel. He actually does it in the world. She'iyah hisofa b'kol inyoni kedusha. That there should be a tremendous addition in everything to do with kedusha. What's that say? Kuma Hashem. Kuma Hashem means Hashem's got to stand up. What is Hashem? Hashem is the mock of all the kedusha.
Why is the Hashem to stand
So
up?
if Hashem stands up, then all inyoni kedusha become additional and reawoken, and stepped up.
What does it mean that Hashem stands up?
Huh?
What does it mean that Hashem stands up?
Stevi,
What does it mean Hashem
mean to
stands
come
up?
into more toikav, more gilui.
More gilui.
You understand? That's what we mean. Ubitu kol dovara amafriya lavodas Hashem. So the Rebbe says over there in the Sikha that Kuma Hashem is really referring more specifically to mitzvah saseh, to the positive commandment. Yeah, Kuma Hashem is like action, poyo, doing something. He said the rest of it, which says Yofuto oyavecho v'yonusu misanerim, they should flee the haters, that's referring to mitzvah lo saseh, to the negative commandment. So therefore said the Rebbe, Kuma Hashem is mitzvah saseh. Yeah, bittul kol dovara, and the bittul, how to call it, the cancellation of anything negative, hamafriya lavodas Hashem, that could disturb service of Hashem, Yofuto, Yever, V'yonusu Misanecha. Be'etzem, said the Rebbe, Oitzoa Sefer Torah, Yoshba Nasinas Koyach, L'klolos Avodas Hashem. What do we come down into the world for? We came down in the world to keep Hashem's will, Kuma Hashem, to put positive commandments and to do things. And we came down to guard the world from improper things, undesirable things. And that's the mitzvah leisaseh. And each one's got tremendous mileage. Each one is, and the two of them together, that's the whole union of Avodas Hashem. Mitzvah's positivity, and mitzvah leisaseh is the guarding of everything from being encroached upon by the bad. Right? So the Rebbe said, when your Moshe Rabbeinu inside you says, Kuma Hashem b'yofuta, yeah, this pasuk, when they opened the ark to take out a Sefer Torah, you're talking about the whole generality of Avodas Hashem. And we're asking for a whole renewal, and Kira should travel out into the world and become Begalui. And that's the whole inyan of opening the Aron and taking out the Sefer Torah. So when you think it's a whole new existence, put on that thing. We read the Sefer Torah, great. So the Rebbe said, like, taking out a Sefer Torah, exclamation mark. Taking out a Sefer Torah, what is that all about? That's the whole clause of Avodas Hashem. And your Moshe Rabbeinu inside you gets all worked up every time they take out a Sefer Torah. So he said, Koish Novin, he said, on that basis, we can come to understand, Heitev, es Maila Miyuchedes, Shaboitzur Slices for it. If that happens with taking out one Sefer, yeah, now we can understand the Maila of taking out three. Mashmois Adohu, Sheishna Nasinas Koyach Lavis Hashem, Bavin Shel Chazok, oh, you guys all batlonim, I thought somebody would ask me. There's a klal in the Gemara, Baba Matzia, and it's brought down by the Get Arabi, you know him. Agimol piyomim havecha zoche. If a certain thing is done 3 times, then it forms what we call a assumed matzia that it will always be like that. And it will not weaken, but it will be strong in the way it is, like that, period. And that's what we call chazok. That's chazok is a concept of Torah, which means an assumed thing because it's already happened a certain number of times, and it's become like how do you call it, a kviyut.
Established.
So we say 3.
Established.
Established. Very nice. That's a good word. So follows up. He says 3 times is the way we paskin, and there's one opinion. It's actually Rabbi Yehuda Nossi. He holds that there can be chazaka pamayim, don't have 3 times. But Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, he holds that you have to have 3 times. And that's why we pass. You have to have 3 times to get to this chazaka. So the Rebbe said, if you're taking out 3 Sifrei Torah, and this voice of Moshe Rabbeinu, the trace there to strengthen the whole Vedas Hashem, Bein v'mitzvahs, Bein v'mitzvahs, happened 3 times, one after the other, right under your nose. 1, 2, 3. So he said, it becomes a chazaka. All that a Sefer Torah means in your Veda, and the taking of it out of the ark happened 3 times, right in front of your ark. So it all becomes, all this tremendous advantage becomes like a fixed, established power. So the Rebbe said, Ki yadua shloish piyomim mahava chazaka. That's the Gemara. Yeah? B'choizek ubetoichim. So why is the word chazaka used? There's all sorts of words which could say something that's established, or it's just become part of us, or who knows. The word chazaka means something that's strong and it's got powerful. It's got power to it. Yeah? So the word chazaka itself indicates not just a thing becoming akviyas, but a thing becoming powerful and strong, that it remains lasting. So if you guys had any query, and if I had any query, which I don't know, but I can tell you a story.
Maybe you need a l'chaim.
You guys don't know the story?
Told you not to throw that thing.
Good for you.
Chaim.
And it was Chaim, we went through the actions of it. So what's the story? You know that in the year Tovrei Samavov, the Rebbe Rashab on Sudas Moshiach, the Rebbe Rashab found the whole thing of Sudas Moshiach. You know that. He came out to eat the Sudah Acharin that we eat on Shvi Shal Pesach. He came out, or in Chutzot, it's Acharon Shal Pesach, it's the 8th day, Acharon Shal Pesach. He came out and he ate with the Bochum in the yeshiva. The Rebbe Rashab sat with all the Talmidim and the Mashpiyim and the Rosh Yeshivas in Yeshiva Tomchei to him. He sat and he ate with them, the Sudah, and then he said a most amazing maimah.
Which Suda? Which one? Which Suda?
Mashiach Suda.
Mashiach Suda.
Yeah. And then he gave the instruction to give all the Bochum to drink 4 kaiser.
Alright.
And then he said, das is Sudas Mashiach. That was it. Das is Mashiach Suda. He said in Yiddish, and that's where it starts off the whole concept of calling it Mashiach Suda. So that was Tovrei Samavov. The next year comes around to close to Shmini, Acharon Shal Pesach. This time the Mashpiyim went in. They didn't leave it up to the Rebbe. Samavov, the Rebbe came out especially by surprise. They came in, they said, we're inviting the Rebbe to come and eat again with us the Suda of Acharon Shal Pesach, Sudas Moshiach. So the Rebbe said, okay, he's prepared to come, he'll come. And he came out, and this is a very similar thing. He said that the Bochum should all drink 4 kaises. And he said this amazing maimah and everything. And that. So the next year, comes in a whole, you know how to call it, deputation. They come into the Rebbe Rashab and they say, we're inviting you to come out, you know, and eat the Suda with us again on what you call Sudas Mashiach, to eat with us, you know, in the Teda Ochel of the yeshiva. So the Rebbe sort of looked for a moment and he said, but if I'll come, he said, that'll be the 3rd time, then it'll become a chazaka. Yeah? And he said, then I'm committed to it. I won't be able to ever have my own choice if I come or not. I'm committed. So everybody sort of looking a bit, you know, sort of taken aback. They didn't quite know what to say. So all of a sudden there was a bocher in the yeshiva. They know who it is. They know who the bocher was. He piped up and he said to the Rebbe, but he said, Rebbe said, according to Rabbeinu HaKodesh, you've already got chazaka. Because according to him, Pamayim is chazaka. So he said, according to Rabbeinu HaKodesh, you've already got chazaka anyway. So the Rebbe Rashab heard that, and he thought for a moment, then he smiled, a very big smile. Yeah, and he said, "Hein Machanami." I said, "That's right." According to that, he said this. So he said, "Emet Hashem ichol come." He said, "Be'ez Hashem, you will come." And he came out again and ate with the Bochum.
What happened the year afterwards? What happened the years afterwards?
Oh,
The fourth year.
but the years after it was base minister. Was already a chazak.
This was also
There's also
taken-
another amazing story connected with that, but can't tell all the stories. Rabbi says the Rebbe, it follows that when we take out the Moshe Rabbeinu Shebekol Echad, he shreis, and it becomes a chazaka that all the things that Moshe Rabbeinu shreis, that he wants to be improved in the clothes Aveda, all of them get very specially stressed when you take out the Sefer Torah. So it's a new concept, and I'm sure that when they open the Ark on Shabbos, everyone's going to react a bit different. Yeah, maybe they'll have to tie Yehuda down. He might go out of his kelim or. So he says, Chizuk b'aveda ativius v'gam hanisi. So the Rebbe said, we need to understand now what is the difference between Tishrei and Nisan. Because so Tishrei also got 3 Sefer Torah, but not with the same crest that Nisan's got, but it's got 3 Sefer Torah. And now we've got Rosh Chodesh Nisan with 3 Sefer Torah. What's the difference between the inyan of Tishrei and the inyan of Nisan? There must be some inyan that sort of differentiates between them. So that I was going to say a most amazing thing. Tishrei indicates the whole inyan of the creation of the world. The second Sefer Torah on Simchas Torah is Bereshis Bora Elokim Es HaShamayim V'Sorah. The whole inyan of Kiyam O'ilam according to the Seder of the world, what we call Hanhoga Tibias, how the Eibusher runs the world through the levush and through the garment of Teva, what we call Teva. Ordinary Seder. It's very elevated and it comes through a lot of Aveda, but that's the way it is. He said, Nisan is not like that. Nisan is the Gamri Lamayla Me'ateva. Nisan from Rosh Nisim. The word Nisan is based on the word Nisim. And remember, Nisan indicates the whole inyan of Anhoga, the Rebbe Rashab calls it in several Maimorim, Anhoga Nisias, that the Eibusher runs the world through Nisan. So you might turn it, well, anyway, everything is Nisan. So the truth of the matter is that there's some people who are trying that there's no such thing as Teva. Everything is just Hashem, recreating every minute the world. It's all Nisan. Over El Chaponim, the difference is that in Seder HaTeva, as it were, in inverted commas, you're not supposed to notice that. You're supposed to see the Teva and relate to the world in that way. In Nisan, how do you call it? Rosh the Kevim. In Nisan, you're supposed to relate only to miracles, and to see only the Lamayla Me'ateva B'Kol. So the Rebbe said that's the difference between Tishrei and Nisan. That's going to reflect itself in the 3 Sifrei Torah that we take out on Simchas Torah, which is part of Tishrei, as compared to these 3 Sifrei Torah that we take out here. I'm just giving you a bit of a forerunner, because there's a lot of material to be covered, and there's not a great deal of time. So he says, Yeshnam Shnei Efshoriyas Kloliyas Lahoitzor Shloisha Sifrei Torah. Chizuk, V'koya B'Avedis Hashem, what we just saw. It's a Chizuk Kloli in Avedis Hashem. He said, Chizuk V'Nasinas Koyach L'Avedis Hashem, HaRegilo V'Atamidias Sheyeshna V'Chol Hazman. We can say that we need a Chizuk, we need to be strengthened, and we need to get a new koyach from our own Moshe Rabbeinu for what we do the whole time. What is the normal? I don't know if there's anything normal by it, but what is the key of the ongoing and Keseda Oifen of our Veda? Well, B'shvil Zeh, Moitzim Shloisha Sifrei Torah, B'Simchas Torah. Dafki in the time of Simchas Torah. Yeshnei chizuk noisov sheni. There's another form of giving strength to you that can be given. Boisofa alavedas Hashem shabakol hashana, which is like an addition and a toisefet to the way you serve Hashem the whole year. He said, "B'shvil zeh moitziim shloisha sifrei Torah b'rosh chodesh Nisan shechal b'Shabbat." In other words, the devil takes 3 sifrei Torah on Simchas Torah. That's to give the what you might call the normal, in inverted commas, seder of everything the way the Vedas Hashem is, Kerogil, and according to the Seder Ha'ilon. And then there's another way of giving you a chizuk in your whole Aveda by taking you out of limitation altogether. Another style and another way of understanding Avedas Hashem. He said, "Ahevdel shebeinayim ubehetem lakuya b'Torah b'shloisha sforim." He said, we'll be able to, by examining what we read in those 3 sforim, then we'll be able to understand what is the difference between the 2 cases. So he says like this, it's really amazing. Rosh Chodesh Nisan shechal b'Shabbat koirim b'Torah al Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh Nisan. We read about the etzemina of Rosh Chodesh and also about Rosh Chodesh Nisan. That's parashas Chodesh. B'Simchas Torah koirim b'Torah al tchilas haTorah Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'esa. Or that's the second Sefer Torah. Yechokmeinu zal shoyelim ma ha'tam shebepischa haTorah bebereshis haTorah niftacha haTorah bebereshis b'lei b'chodesh hazeh lochem reish chadoshim. Rashi brings it right at the very beginning of the Torah. The Torah should have started off with chodesh hazeh lochem reish chadoshim. And Rashi answers an answer. We'll soon see what he answered. What's the question? So Rashi says like this, that the first mitzvah in the Torah is a chodesh hazeh lochem reish chadoshim. That's the first mitzvah in the Torah. And that's what we read on this Shabbat. So the Rebbe said that the inyan of a chodesh hazeh lochem reish chadoshim is a mitzvah. That's a special mitzvah to be Makadosh the Chadoshim and to make Rosh Chodesh Nisan the first of all the Chadoshim. So the Rebbe said there's a difference between Stam, Torah, and Mitzvah. Torah is a inyan which is Chochmas Hashem, V'rotzon Hashem, El Shlomayla Me'o'ilam. When you learn Torah and you get into learning, you can go away from the world. You elevate yourself into a higher thing. Therefore, great Talmidei Chachamim were people that were, how to say, out of it. And I remember in Bnei Brak, they tell about there was a big Talmid Chacham many years ago in Bnei Brak. He was basically a very great man, by the way, a very, very amazing person. And when he used to go out into the street, he didn't know where he was, because he was the whole time thinking about something in the Torah. And he would walk along and he would bang into the pole. He would bang head face into a pole, and he would say to the pole, "Oh, slicha."
He must have been Canadian or something.
And he would say to the pole, "Excuse me." He didn't even realize it was a pole. He just kept going after that.
Probably Canadian.
Why? Because Torah is something which elevates you beyond the metzias of the world. However, a mitzvah is exactly the opposite. A mitzvah is something that brings you into the world, and you've got to know what you're doing. For example, if you take a piece of paper and eat it on the Laila Seder, that's so good. You've got to take a piece of matzah that you put in the gashmastika flour, you put gashmastika water, and you mix them, and you put them into a burning hot oven, and you bake them, and you got to eat them in a certain way. You got to chew it well, and you got to eat it before 4 or 5 minutes. It should be b'chtei achilas pras. There's all sorts of inyanim which have to do with the gashmastika world. So the Rebbe says that that's the special thing about Rosh Chodesh Nisan, that it's got to do with the first mitzvah in the Torah. Rashi says that everything up to there is Torah. The stories, all sorts of in what they're Torah. But the first mitzvah is that. So we read then in this week's third Sefer Torah, we read that. In other words, we read the first mitzvah that was ever given, meaning that we bring the whole milah of that inyan into the world. The milah of Rosh Chodesh Nisan, we bring that down into the world. So he said like this: "B'sivus Torah korim b'tel tchilas haTorah, bereshis, bore Elokim es hashamayim v'es ha'oretz. Chokmeinu zol shorelim ma tam sheniftacha Torah b'bereshis v'loi b'chodesh hazeh lachem." Why? Shehi ha-mitzvah ha-rishona shenitztavu bo Yisrael k'lishonam. The way they say it. In other words, that our Chachomim are worried. Why don't we start off with the first mitzvah? Why? Because the Olam HaTachlis is Dafi mitzvahs, to bring things down into the world. And they answer, Sha'atorah hischila b'bereshis kedei lalamed shekol ha'oretz shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That whole world belongs to Hashem. But that's a spiritual inyan. Yeah? The world is really Hashem's. V'hu hiklit lo ses lono es Eretz Yisrael. Since it all belongs to him, then he decides to whom he gives it. And he decided that he's giving, in the final score, Eretz Yisrael to the Yidden. Ubamela ef shalitoin shebnei Yisrael lochu es ha'oretz b'koich hazreya. You can't say that even though Yidden conquered it, they didn't really. They conquered it in order to get the preventative forces, as it were, out of the way. Although the actual purpose of that was because Hashem told them that belongs to them, and it's their inyan. So the Rebbe said that's the reason why the Torah started off, with Bereshis Bora, to tell us that very, very central inyan. But that's an inyan in knowledge and in Torah. It's not a mitzvah. So therefore he says, Roy Mikan, Shakriya Shabash Chodesh Nisan, HaChodesh Zerachem, Mesamo is a mitzvah. Mesamel means that it's symbolical of the whole inyan of mitzvahs. Et Anhoge Nisiyes, O Bechlal, Chodesh Nisan Nikra, Chodesh O Geula. So the Rebbe said, why are the mitzvahs? Why the connection of the mitzvahs with the inyan of a nisim, Anhoge Nisiyes? Because the Rebbe brings down over there an amazing thing, and he says that the way you behave when you get to mitzvahs, and the way you see the Torah as the source of mitzvahs, well, that's the source of your whole well-being in this world. And he brings down over there an amazing thing. The Rebbe writes a whole big, long footnote about it. It's mind-boggling. But I'll just give you a brief report about it. And the Rebbe says like this, that it's brought down that when they take out the Sefer Torah into shul, if you encourage people to get close to the Sefer Torah, and even to kiss the Sefer Torah, then that's a sgula b'panosa. The Rebbe said that's brought down, that's a sgula for panosa. So the Rebbe said, what's it got to do with taking out the Sefer Torah with the whole inyan from panosa? So he says that since the whole inyan, as we're pointing out here, is that the Ikar inyan of the Torah, our sages say, is really the mitzvahs. So the mitzvah should have begun, the Torah should have begun with the first mitzvah, because that's the Ikar, that according to the way you act, according to Ratzon Hashem, that's what happens to you in the physical world. And therefore he brings a whole inyan, the Rebbe, that that's why it's brought down in Parashas Vaikra, Pekudah, that we read last week, in reference to Shabbos. It's written, Sheishes Yomim Ti'oseh Melacha. Ubiyom HaShvi'i Shabbosoim. Double Shabbos LaShem. So the Rebbe said, why is it written Ti'oseh Melacha? Ti'oseh is a passive word, meaning it's done, it kilo happened. So the Rebbe says that the whole way you have to do Malacha is you have to go through the actions. You've got to make a kli, you have to do a certain thing of a kilo, that not you're doing it. You're not really doing it, but you're relying entirely on Hashem, that He's doing it. You're doing the malacha is not because you think that you're anything from that. You're just making it clear that Hashem should give thee the bracha malamayla. That's the famous beer from Chassidus. So the Rebbe said that when you do a mitzvah, you're saying this is the Ika activity that I got to do. This is the Ika activity, and this is the carrying out of Ratzon Hashem in the world. Al Yidei Zeh Hashem will bless your parnasa. And therefore the Rebbe said sometimes Chassidim used to say that the Ika parnasa comes from not being malubish in the thing and doing more and saying, I have to do more and I got to do more and more, but by cutting back in the inyan of the business and all that, and giving more time into learning Torah in a way that it will be hoirua, it will bring how you're supposed to keep the mitzvahs. That's the best way to make panos. Yeah. I say bring a big long footnote, that the whole inner mitzvahs is like a hanhoganizis. It's like something that we don't understand. The day that we will devote ourselves to the world in the way that Hashem wants, then He will give us whatever the world's supposed to give. And therefore the mitzvahs are like an organization. It's mind-blowing. But there's so much here in the whole Sikha, it's impossible to get it all over. So therefore, so the Rebbe comes out that the union of Achoidish Azelachem, that's symbolic of the mitzvahs, and that's symbolic of the whole idea of Hanhoga Nisias. Hashem runs the world, therefore you don't have to become involved in the Teva. You can just sort of join yourself up with the mitzvahs, and they will fix up the world. The more mitzvahs you do, the more you're fixing the world in a way that will deal with you good also. It'll come back to you in a better way. Mind-boggling. He said, the Medrash says that Chodesh Nisan is called Chodesh HaGeula. So the Rebbe says, Mesamel Gam Geula Me'anhogas HaTeva L'anhoga Nisya. Wow. What's the pnimis of the Geula of Nisan? That you go out of thinking according to Teva, and you come into Anhoganisi. That you get out of the whole, what you might call, being bound up to Teva, and you come into Anhoganisi, that really everything is just a nest.
Teva is Mitzrayim.
Yeah, very nice. Teva is like the idea of limitation. Meitzorim Mugulim. This is just unbelievable, the way the Rebbe says it. But all the footnotes and everything, the Rebbe says that the pneumias of why Nisan is called Chodesh HaGeula, and why do we say B'Nisan, Asidin Le'Gor, and eventually we're going to end up with a Geula Kipshute in Nisan, because the whole Eden of Nisan takes you away from Teva. So the further Eid gets away from Teva, and the further he sees that his whole life is just a nest, and that everything connected with his life is also just Nisim, then the closer he is to Elokus, and the closer he is to the real, what you might call, to use in inverted commas, the real way things are working. So therefore he says that the Ina for Chodesh HaGeula, Mesamel es HaGeula, Me'anogas HaTeva L'anoginesi. In the old days somebody would have got up and gone a dance or jumped off the table or something. I mean, that's just mind-boggling. The Rebbe said, Chodesh HaGeula is you got to redeem yourself from your whole way, kosher way, of looking at the world. To look at the world according to Torah, that's Tishrei. A Tishrei is for sure. But Tachlis HaKashkas. But I think, what do you want more? No, said the Rebbe, you got to have a Geula from Hanhoga Tibias into Hanhoga Nisias. And therefore, that's what we said in the Shiur this morning, in the Krilul. That's why the Vaikra that the Hashem called to Moses, without any names or whatever, but that's the very essence of Hashem. And he calls the Yid before he tells him what to do. He calls him a Chiyush Chibor, Rashi says, like a special love and a special affection. And that's got to do with Chodesh Nisan. If you can get into that level, then you're into Chodesh Nisan. Philippus. He said, Simchas Torah misamelas es Hanhoga HaTivia. Bereshit Bora Elokim. Einochanam, we have to know that Teva is all Elokus, but it's Elokus how it is in the form of limitation that it appears to have rules. That's what we call Teva. So therefore he says, Gam Kol Chodesh Tishrei Koshul and Hoge Tivius. Yeah, Brias Oilam. That's the whole in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Of a soft Chagei Tishrei, and at the completion of those Chagim, you got Simchas Torah. Koirim, Oidus Brias Shamayim V'Orah. You go all the way back through all the Avodah, you start all over again with Brias Shamayim V'Orah. The Simchas, the whole Tishrei, both at its beginning, which is Rosh Hashanah, that's the creation, ends with Simchas Torah, also with the creation. Is a siman that we have to do with Elokim, Lashon Hagbara, and the world the way it is according to the Torah. He said, "V'zu gam achilik bein ha'itzoah shloisha soforim b'simchas Torah. Chizuk when the sin is koyach lavoida tivias v'tmidias ve'ilu v'shabbos rosh chodesh Nisan na'asa chizuk when the sin is koyach lavoida nisias. You go out of all Hagbos and you get up into how everything is just a mess and it all happens l'mayla me'ateva." And he said, "Sofa ala seida harogil." That's an addition, how do you call it, to the normal way. What does Hashem really prefer, and what does He see to be really the core and the whole makeup of the Jewish people? It's for you. The Rosh Hashanah, for the Umas Ha'ilam, but that Rashi hints also in Vaikra, right at the beginning. He said, Vaikra, Lashon Chiba, V'loi k'moi lo Umas Ha'ilam, afilu ha'naviyim, Yapilam, Rashi says clearly, that the whole way Hashem values the Jewish people is precisely through Nisan. Even though Tishrei is a huge Indian, and we put a huge amount of Indian into the Avodah of Tishrei, over the ultimate love and chibur and affection of Elokus, of the Eibishter for the Jewish people, it does get through the infant Nisan. Yeah. And therefore he said, Chakmeinu Zal Diaku. They were very exact. Likroi Parsha Hanemra B'Shabbos Rosh Chodesh Nisan HaChodesh Azor Lachem Mitzvah Roshina Shenistavu Boyso. It didn't say the first instruction or the first teaching or the first, that could have been Nikla in the concept of Torah in general. But he said they used the word mitzvah. So the Rebbe said, what's the difference? They have to obey mitzvahs la Torah. Torah he la maila me'olam, or we just learned before. But somebody who's into Torah, he's moved on from the world. The ilo mitzvah, pirusha tzivui la odam, eich shetisnai kan bo'olam al manah sheyuchal lehischabe im HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Well, that's another thing another point we made in the Shiur Kloli. We see that Korbana is a connection with Hashem precisely through Dvarim Chumrim V'Gashmim. That precisely through burning certain things on the Mizbech, through that you form the most amazing kesher with the Eibishter in the form of Chibur, V'Yav, Kol Einyon. So the Rebbe says that we see that the inyan of mitzvahs and their supremacy is that the Odom in the world that he knows, in the physical world, he does certain actions in that physical world, and through that he joins up with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not that he has to elevate himself from the world, but being part of the world, there he forms a chibur atzmis with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He said that's the mila of Chodesh Nisan. I think we'll hold there because it just keeps going and going. Yeah. And then we get down to the Gula Shlema at the end. Here the river says Nisan Asidin Ligoyel, and Davki in Nisan is Muchan all the for the Gula, because Moshiach is going to bring the Holy Nisi, Aki Aliyena, into the world. That's all going to be Yichud Seivu, Mamale, and all sorts of amazing things. Yeah.
Doesn't it bring to mind the pasuk from, I think it's Yirmiyahu, that we say before we bench, about when we were in Bavel.
Oh, yeah.
And we were captive, and we were stuck in Bavel.
and we say that during the week, but on Shabbos we say something else.
But we say that remember the times
Yeah, we're sort of limited, yeah.
that we should remember during our greatest joy
I know.
these things, but on the times of also on the other hand, like when besimcha, in the times of our greatest nisayonim.
The penimis that we have.
Yeah.
Well, the Geula is that the penimis will become the reality.
Panemius, whatever that means. Do you know what define panemius?
And it's interesting, the Haftarah of Parashat Vaikra, would it not be Parashat Chodesh? The Haftarah of Vaikra starts off with a pasuk, Am zu yotzati li tilosi yisaperu. I have created this people for myself, and their whole aim is to reveal my praise, or my tehillah.
Right.
The word tehillah means a very high Indian in praise. The Alter Rebbe says in Likutei Torah that tehillah represents a madrigas hakesed. The whole in of Yidden is to show and to reveal and to tell about how the Yidden is l'mayla mi'at. He said, "Amzu, a person that's the people I want."
He's asking for a definition of pneumius. What does it mean, pneumius?
That was my question.
Are you asking a question?
Yeah, what is panemius? Define panemius.
Oh, so that's what we're learning here.
Oh, is that it?
But the whole idea from panemius is that really everything is l'mayla mi'at teva. Teva is only a lavush. It's only a inyan that we see. But if we
You never ask a question unless you know the answer.
if you get deep into it, then you see that everything's l'mayla mi'at teva b'tachlis. Nisan is the gilui of the pneumius. And later the Rebbe says that's in of yichud seivav u'mamali.
Got it?
That the in of seivav kalami, it becomes miyuchad, the gola in mamali kalam.
You'll get it.
Now, after Mashiach comes, I still won't get it.
Because
I won't. No, I won't.
after Mashiach will come, it'll be all one big pack.
All clear.
There won't be nothing. Nothing will be different. I'll still be the same klutz.
How do they say it? It'll be oil, ein grace a pickle.
A pickle, or a pickle.
Well, I'm telling you see here, how the Rebbe says that you must get excited about every detail, because every detail is a whole unbelievable word of the Torah. Three Sefer Torah, they don't know three Sefer Torah. You know, it's unusual. And
I tell you,
that's the whole secret of everything. Three Sefer Torah, the whole Yiddishkeit is in that.
when I see soldiers, with the Torah letters, I see a Sefer Torah each soldier. Each soldier, it's a Sefer Torah. I wish I could see it with eyes, for 1 hour or hour and a half, whatever, I see Sefer Torah standing, and I become very excited and very...
You should realize that's mamashka.
Is that panemius? It's tiring.
The Gemara says that every year there's like a living Sefer Torah.
It is mamish like that. But here, it's hard to see all the time. If I don't have eyes to see. I wish I had eyes to see. But all the time, like every Jew, it's a nice place to come from.
You see, it's amazing you mention it because the Rebbe stressed so tremendously this idea of going to the soldiers and getting them also in the Sefer Torah. And it's very fascinating. I took a boy from the yeshiva around here with me yesterday to Kochabav when I baked him up. He's a very Tmimah guy. He's actually a son of one of my former Talmidim.
Baby.
So he went out for a while to buy a little bit of food for us to eat after we baked him up. We were tired and hungry. So we wanted to have a little bit, we davened and then we had a little sort of a brunch. We had breakfast and lunch together.
Brunch.
We had in my old office in the yeshiva, we ate together. And all of a sudden he comes in, he's all beaming, he's all sort of more happy than usual. So I said to him, what happened? So he said he met a soldier. As he was coming out of the falafel shop, he met a soldier, and he told him about the whole idea of Ois in the Sefer Torah. So the soldier said, I'm all for it, So he said, what do I have to do? So he said, all you have to do is sign up your name, give me your name and everything, and I'll send it in to the people. And if you wanted to give a little something towards, so he gave 10 shekels, the soldier. That's what he had on him.
they do.
That's what he had on him.
Yeah.
And he was so thrilled, this boy, he was all beaming. He said, I got a soldier to sign up in the Sefer Torah, you know. Kamoiti Shal Rov, you know. That's Tekazai. You should realize that that's uniting another Yid with his horse. You remember, he's had the best insurance policy. That's the best insurance policy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny.
It's like,
So I said to him, you know, what happened?
It's like you give him a helmet. He didn't have a helmet before.
Exactly. That's the lady. Give him a home. Now he's got rivals and who knows what. But the Emerson rival he didn't have until now.
Yeah. Barzel. Better than
This is the Ilu
His mom is
Nishmas Rabbi Gafne.
look.
Yeah.
The Ilu Nishmas Benjamin Yosef ben